Thanks for staying with us. So, according to reports I read earlier, villagers in northeast Nigeria, Borno State, on Sunday buried 43 farmers that were killed in an attack by suspected Islamist militants, while security forces searched for dozens of people who are still missing. We're trying to get a lawmaker representing Jere Federal Constituency, Honourable Satomi Alhaji Ahmad. He was supposed to be our guest this morning. We're still waiting for him to pick up his calls. Hopefully we'll speak to him in a moment. But in the meantime, you can call us on 090-241-6344. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read your tweet. So many Nigerians obviously took to Twitter and social media yesterday, over the weekend. And many people were really angered about the killings and the burial of those 43. United Nations have said they are saying 110 people.
Yeah.
The villagers have actually also confirmed that there are many more people missing. And what is even most disheartening is our president didn't speak to us. As usual, he spoke through Garba Shehu, saying that they've given the army all they need to do their job or to keep that community safe. Now, I don't know why it's so difficult for our president. I mean, in other countries, 1 or 2 persons die, and you see the man at the helm of affairs come out to take responsibility or tell us exactly what he's going to do. 43 people were buried right in our country. And our president is speaking through the Garba Shehu, he's a special advisor on media, and saying that they've given the army all they need to do their job. And they are quite disheartened, they're quite pained about what happened, and they send their condolences. We've gotten one too many of these condolences from the federal government, don't you think?
I think they've mastered the art of mourning, so usually mourning the loss, condemn and all of that. But your comment now and the comments I read on Twitter, one thing came to mind, that rather than react to the horror that the people who survived had to witness and the kind of gruesome murder that the people who died suffered, the president will react to what you said. He will react to you asking him to do the right thing, the most important thing, which is, of course, you failed to secure the lives of the people, which is one of the most important jobs that you have as a leader. But then you will react to the people asking you to even respond.
To do your job.
When the hashtag #EndSARS started, the comments were reacting to people asking, are you going to address us? They were not addressing the issues. Now we sit down and videos and pictures, whether or not, because tomorrow morning now we have the Minister for Information come and tell us that, they were made doctors and all of that. But pictures surfaced of people slaughtered and tied and slaughtered. And we have 16 female missing from the farm. According to the report, 15 or 16 of them missing from the farm, according to the reports now. We have people that, we saw the bodies lined up for Islamic burial. Immediately
so those we know, because as I said,
before they will say the governor,
they will say,
doctor those pictures, and videos and all of that, and that we are just overreacting. Nigerians, it's just 1, 2, 3. They will start to count bodies as if lives and death is something that you joke around. This happened, and we don't need politicking in the face of our people like this. You know what I call this one? This is an attack on our economy, whether we like it or not. The hoodlums that attack the trucks carrying onions and cost Nigerians onions. And then we have a rice attack. This has happened before when farmers could no longer sell their cattle. And we had the salary going up, like people could not even buy them.
Interestingly, this is 5,000-acre farmland, and they've only harvested about 25%. So there's a huge 75% left. And now that entire farm is filled with blood of Nigerians.
We have been complaining that we don't have enough food. People are struggling to eat. People are struggling to fend for themselves. Now, these are people who went out to work on a particular day to earn a living, and then their lives were taken. I expect more from the president. It's unfortunate that things are happening the way it is, but I should have seen the anger from the president. I should have seen the president coming out to speak, to tell us that the people who he had put at the helm of affairs to handle the problems of insecurity have failed us woefully, and he has to do something about it. I don't want to repeat what people are saying, that why is it impossible for him to sack the service chiefs? If you are working in a corporation and you're not delivering, they let you go. They get people who are competent to take over that job. Now, why does it seem like it's looking like the president doesn't care because it has not reached him. You know, when death comes close to you, that's when you understand what people are going through. But because the people at the helm of affairs are somehow protected, they do not feel what we are feeling. They don't understand what it is for people to lose. Do you know? Do you even imagine the number of people who will be motherless right now, who will be fatherless right now? We have our IDPs. We have. Did you see a video recently? I saw a video recently on the IDPs and how those children suffer from no food to eat, no water to bathe, nothing. Those kids now who have lost their parents in that farm will likely be shipped off to the IDPs.
Now we got an unconfirmed report. I'm not sure how this is true, that the commanding officer in charge of that region was let go. But the community isn't happy about that. They're saying that is beyond, the Nigerians are asking is beyond sacking the commanding officer.
We have laws that have made sure that our service chiefs have overspent their time. We have laws that have made sure that, they recycle, they move them out and bring in new fresh heads. That, we can, the laws are there and they've already expired, they've used up their time. But we will not change them. You know what pains me is that we will not have a closed door meeting. You can predict Nigeria.
Yes.
President will not have a closed door meeting.
They set up a committee.
They set up come out and question, like he said in the paper this morning, I have given them all that they need to do their job, but they are not doing their job, but there will be no consequences. And then you have a closed door meeting with them, still no consequences. You will now come out and they will address the press and saying that they will up their game, they're on top of it, and will lose more money.
And again, they will now set up a committee to investigate, to tell us what we already know that is already.
How about president go without the service chiefs now? That kind of person who is in charge of the local area that was sacked, pick 2-3 soldiers in the front, on the face of the, on the forefront of these issues themselves, and question them. What is your welfare? What are the are you protected?
You have guns.
And ask whether or not we are truly equipping these people and they are doing enough.
We have to go on a break. Hopefully, I'm hoping that when we come back, we can have our lawmaker, because in other countries, these are grounds for impeachment. When the presidency is not working, these are things that you can take to national and say, you know what, everybody, this government isn't working. So let's go on a break and hear what the lawmaker has to say. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. So we have with us Federal Constituency Honourable Satomi Alhaji Ahmad to give us his own insights on what happened. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm online, sir.
Yes. Before we ask you what you're going to do, what could you share with us your experience? What did you hear? Because that's your own region. What exactly? Could you confirm the figures to us? What happened in the community, and what reports you've gotten so far?
Thank you very much. Actually, it was a sad day on Saturday. People of our community from the Almari who are having their lawful businesses in their farmlands in nearby village called Koshede at the Borno, Jere was attacked by Boko Haram. And then up to this moment, as I am talking to you, I am right now inside the Almari, receiving condolence from the senator representing the constituency, senatorial zone. But the figures are still counting, I'm sure, as of yesterday, we buried in the locality 9 farmlands. I'm just receiving another
Sorry, we didn't get that. We're having trouble getting clarity. So you said as of yesterday, what happened? What were the figures?
Yesterday, 34 we buried inside the Marmarita.
Okay.
And then 9 was buried in farmland.
Okay.
In the bush. And then this morning, we have some figures, unconfirmed figures. Just now, as I am speaking to you, I learned that I was told there is about 30 more corpses and even more that needs to be evacuated. The military, because of the waterlogged nature of the terrain, are looking for some tractors and heavy-duty equipment to move into the farm to evacuate.
Honourable.
For so far, from our figures, those people missing are over 70 so far. Missing. But the recovered corpse that was buried yesterday is 34 and the 9 making 43.
Honourable, could you give us an idea the kind of security you have in that region? Do you have army? Do you have police? Do you have vigilante?
Yeah, army and the vigilante are there, But you know, the farmland is outskirts of Zabarmari, and Zabarmari was relatively free for the first couple of months. Like 8 months, there was no attack in Zabarmari, and then the people have developed confidence that things are normal and it's as usual. So, but the Boko Haram gathered them, and then in a retaliation that they are giving information to militants. I think this is what they said, and that's why they tactically and summarily executed this atrocity by slaughtering our people onto unidentified actual figure. But from what we are receiving now, the figures are still increasing beyond that of yesterday. And the securities are there, but you know, in the farmland you cannot go all the places to give security cover to every individual or farmland. But I think we need to, the military, the police, and the security intelligence need to change their tactics. Looking at this new thing, because they are fighting a guerrilla war, they must involve the locals, and the locals must be recruited into the mainstream military or police or the agro rangers of the civil defense, so that they can go to their farm and also they will protect themselves by, you know, working with the young people and the vigilantes.
Okay. All right.
So, sir, this is an emergency, and I expect that all hands should be on deck at the moment. So, what is the plan? What's the governor doing about this right now?
The governor, as of yesterday, and then pledged with the federal government for an immediate solution. But as of the governor yesterday, we are now gathering vigilantes and civilian JTF hunters, so that I think the major concern of the community now is that we have cultivated more than 10,000 hectares. More than 10,000 acres, around 5,000 hectares. So therefore, and this is the harvest time, they did not harvest even 10% of what they have planted in the first couple of months. And those people mostly kids were just ordinary people that they work in the farm and they save with a little amount for them to survive. So it's very unfortunate. So the federal government has to wake up in the call and look at the security particularly of the intelligence gathering, to work with the intelligence that's treated to the military by the DSS and other security formations. Because I believe there was a security alert prior to this attack. It has been built up, and then such kind of thing will be curtailed. So, but because of the nature of the guerrilla war and the terrorist attack tends to be very much dynamic, then they change suddenly. That's why we need to proactively, the military has to look for other tactical engagement of these terrorist groups. If not, it's going to be too bad, particularly for the villagers that have been advocated by the federal government of Nigeria to go back to farm, and they responded and went to farm. But look at what is happening now.
Okay, let me get a few more questions in for you, sir.
Of the United Nations, they are saying it was outrageous, even of 100 plus. So this is very sensitive to us. And we need a quick intervention from the federal government.
This is not the first time that, you know, a village will be taken over by bandits, Boko Haram, or whatever these guys that they come in form of. And, you know, the federal government will come out and say some things. The last one that happened, they even had the entire village set on fire and people killed, and it was reported just recently, if you know, I think this year or late last year, and nothing concrete was done. Did you have any further beef up of security by the federal government in all these villages that you could sincerely see?
It's not time for an action. It's not a time for lamentation, or it's not a time for saying that we will do A, B, or sorry, or condemn. It's time to re-strategize and look at the entire security architecture of the nation.
Exactly. Would you call for the sake of the service chiefs?
Not only in Borno State. Out of the 44 people buried yesterday in Zabarmari, 21 are from Sokoto, Zampara, Kano, and other parts of the state. They came to look for the means of livelihood because of the nature of the environment and the terrain.
Honourable Satomi, Nigerians are calling for the sack of the service chiefs. Do you agree with them?
Pardon?
Nigerians are calling for the sack of all the service chiefs. Do you agree with them?
This is not about searching of the service chief. What I am saying is overhauling the entire security structure, like restructuring it. Because what we are doing is obsolete. It's not about searching of the service chief. It's about how much we are prepared. Where is the political will for all the leaders, for us to wear our thinking cap and to see how we're going to address this contemporary crisis at hand in the nation, ranging from the kidnapping, armed banditry, and then other form of violence across the nation. It's not about searching of the service chief, it's just one factor. Somebody will come with a new plan, then how will you going to
Honourable Satomi,
where is the time?
As a lawmaker, you have some powers. Your counterparts across the world, at times like these, they have tools within the federal government, the legislature, they can use to demand change. What tools do you have at your disposal as a federal lawmaker to begin to have change, to get change for your people in your constituency?
I can tell you authoritatively that in the first couple of 19 months, from last year, 2019, June to date, we have deliberated in the floor of the House more than 200 security issues. How many were implemented? So it's an issue of its time for all of us to wear our thinking. Are dying, and we cannot continue like that. The executive must take action, must take resolution and deliberation from the National Assembly.
Honourable Sir.
Yes?
One of the ways, to deal with this is, of course, to believe that the executive has failed. As a lawmaker, you have the powers to impeach and remove, based on gross misconduct. Is this not enough grounds to qualify as a gross misconduct of the executive or the president right now?
I think it has a process. The process of legislation is stage by stage. And at the first stage, ours is to pass a resolution and looking at the committees of the various security formations to come with their deliberations and observation and their findings. Because some of the problem, you cannot only turn to the executives only, but at times, if I can quote, there was a time the military high formation said they did not appoint themselves. So for me, as a legislator, I wouldn't mind if we can call Mr. President to explain to the National Assembly what are your structural plan for the nation's security situation.
Exactly.
These are kind of the at this material
Exactly.
time for us to consider and talking without an action. So therefore, sacking or sending of the service team will not solve this problem.
Right.
We have to look at it entirely across the nation, looking at the welfare of the frontline armies, looking at what we need. The Boko Haram are not superior than our Nigerian army. It's a question that everybody is asking me when I leave Nigeria. We have been in Sierra Leone, we have been in Liberia, we came with a medal. What is happening here? So definitely something is wrong somewhere beyond the backing of the service.
Okay,
sir. Yeah, so do you think that the army is currently overwhelmed? Because I do not understand how they cannot trace where these Boko Haram people are. And they have, you can actually get the information from villagers who live around. So what exactly is happening? Are they overwhelmed? Is their welfare system encouraging enough for them to want to risk their lives to protect other people?
They are overwhelmed, looking at all forms of crisis across the nation. I believe that they are overwhelmed. But funding is also an issue. Welfare of the frontline armies is also an issue. Changing tactics outside the rule of engagement of the current situation we have at hand is an issue. And let us appreciate them because they are fighting a guerrilla war. The tactics changes and varies day in night from the militants, from the bandits and from the Boko Haram. So therefore, I believe that if we want to curtail this issue once and for all, we need to address the remote causes and looking at the entire security architecture. But funding is an issue, and I believe there is a funding. If there is a funding, then where is the problem? I know they have a deficit of manpower. They are overstretched, which is very obvious.
The president said this morning in the papers that they are more than equipped, and he has provided all that they need to secure the country, questioning the security apparatus in the country. Would you support?
If the president has said so, then he has to find out where is the problem.
Exactly.
Why they cannot
where the leakages.
Yes. So would you support the rehabilitation of repentant Boko Haram at this point when I believe personally that our intelligence, that the Boko Haram intelligence is stronger than ours? with the way they can, you know.
No, I didn't agree that they are stronger than ours, but I believe that they are more committed. The commitment and the sacrifice, they believe that they are fighting for a sect. They believe that they are fighting for a religion. So therefore, we must adopt new tactics of approaching. One of these is the recruitment of the locals, injected into the mainstream Nigerian police army or the Agro Rangers. And the secondly, the welfare of the frontline armies that sacrifice their lives, leave their family, stay in the bush, and they're supposed to have all the required tools for them to face the Boko Haram. So therefore, I think it's a time, if the president says that he has given them everything, it's high time for him to check what is happening, what is wrong. So something is wrong.
Honourable, we have to wrap up. We have to wrap up soon, but it's almost unimaginable because when these bandits come, when the Boko Haram militants come, they usually operate for 3, 4, 5 hours. I don't understand how this can happen in your constituency where you have security operatives. Yes, they are stretched thin, but wasn't there any kind of repeal that happened? Were they even approached by the military, even try to repeal the acts of these militants in any way? Was there a back and forth with them?
Boko Haram.
Was there any resistance at all?
Of course. This is very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate, but I think I tell you, there was a guerrilla war they are fighting. Changes tends to take that. But the major problem now is, we said it several times in the floor of the house, the super camp is not a welcoming idea for this operation, fighting this crisis. We have to take the fight to the enclaves of the Boko Haram. I think there is a means that we can look for other ways, such as dialogue, strengthening the social cohesion between the locals and Nigerian military and the repentant Boko Haram. And in other aspects, let's engage even the repentants, those that are willing to volunteer. Because I have an information, some are willing to volunteer to fight and to assist the Nigerian military for them to take the enclave of the Boko Haram to end of this crisis. But believe me, without engaging the locals, the young agile, corrupted youths that sacrifice their life into the mainstream of the Nigerian army. And one important truth is, let's understand, those in the front line of the Boko Haram, looking at the long, decade-old crisis. Virtually when this crisis started, there are about 8-9 years. There are 9 now 8. So which means they have never seen even a constituted authority. They don't know anything in this world. They are just fighting for a cause that they were brainwashed.
All right, we have to wrap up, sir. Honourable Satomi, we have to wrap up at this point.
So therefore, I think the solution is we need to restructure and look at entire security architecture of the nation. Unless the president did have any plan, let's turn to the Nigerians that did have his plan.
Thank you so much, Honourable Satomi. Our hearts really go out to the families of those that have been killed, and we really express our condolences at this time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really sad. Really, really sad. 43 people slaughtered in our presence, and it is saying that compared to this morning, they are getting about 30 cops, and they are still looking for more people. I mean, I don't think we've ever had it this bad. So we really need to demand from the federal government and security officers to let us know what's going on.
The number of people who would you require to carry out that amount of murder.
Were they not seen for how long they operated?
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. That's all we can take on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.